educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems.
Folks, happy Sunday. I hope it's treating you as gently as possible so far. I am here today to give you guys a little bit of a kind of self-care Sunday vlog. I'll be very real with you. The past couple of days have been not great. So as I'm filming this is the kind of day I need to take to, calm down, slow down a little bit, evaluate things, and make sure I'm not growing any more grey hairs than I need to be. So we started the day off fairly slow, woke up a bit later because Francesco was working late last night. But I've had some breakfast, I've had some coffee, I've started my little Sunday hair care routine thing, taking a few minutes just to brush out all of those nasty tugs, because as you guys know, I have a lot of hair. And I always like to put in a little kind of oil stuff that I have, just whatever I have really. I would love to be able to afford these kind of Olaplex fancy things that all the proper influencer girlies do, but we're not quite there in terms of the budget yet. So I have this kind of Sephora oil that I use instead, and I just kind of massage a few drops through my hair and pop it up into a very useless and messy and probably greasy looking bun, as I have, as you can see. Just to give it some time to get all that oil through it, keep it nice and moisturized, because it is very cold and humid and a little bit breezy here at this time of year, so skin and hair need all of the looking after and moisturizing as they can get, especially when you have as much as I do. So that's been this morning so far. I have some cooking and some baking I'd like to do later, and also the fridge is embarrassingly empty at the moment, so I'm about to go and do a little bit of a food shop, go outside, look like a turtle with my big rucksack, going to buy some things and some ingredients. And when we come back, a little bit of baking, some stretching, and just some, probably the full hair wash routine later on as well. I'm already gonna have to prep my biceps for that, but we'll get there when we get there. So let's get our boots on and let's go.
I like to be away in my patience. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow, I think I'll chew it. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing.
As you can see, it's now later in the day. That trek home was a workout and a half because I severely overfilled the kind of rucksack that I was carrying with jars and kilos of flour and sugar and things, but we made it, it's fine. Also done some baking. You may have kind of gathered an idea of what it was. I'm trying to make essentially a twist, a slightly more wintry twist on the lemon bars recipe that I shared with you guys a few months ago. You can find it on maverybake.com along with all the other recipes. And it basically just came to my mind, why not try that with grapefruit? Trying it with orange or trying it with lime seems equally wonderful, seeing as we're in peak citrus season in Europe at the moment. But there's something about a grapefruit version that really spoke to me. So that's what we've tried to make. The only thing that's disappointed me so far is the colour. They've come out basically exactly the same shade of yellow as the lemon bars, which isn't surprising. You know, Francesco did mention it's probably the egg yolks that give it that colour rather than anything lemon related, obviously. But even having used pink grapefruits, there's not even just a spritz of pink in there. So I'm slightly not enamored with that, but they smell good and I'm hoping they're going to taste good. And yeah, in terms of the kind of job hunt, because I know that the last vlog I posted I think would have been the kind of job hunting vlog. Yeah, I was going to say the job hunt vlog hunt, maybe not. Just to kind of keep you guys posted on that, I think I've applied for a further 10 or 11 jobs since I posted that video. No super exciting news just yet. I have a couple of interesting leads. I sound like a detective, in that there may be an interview coming up for something, and I have a very interesting email to get back to today. Other than that, no kind of tangible update to give you guys just yet, but it's still going. But speaking of jobs, Francesco has just headed back to work, so I'm going to take some time to stretch out all of my creaky, crackly bones and give my body a nice stretch. It's about time I took my kilos of hair out to give it a good wash, and then we can cook ourselves some dinner in that very messy kitchen that I'll have to clean up afterwards. But a side effect of the kind of oil stuff that I put in is that it does keep it kind of moisturized, but it also adds a nice little kind of softness to the curls and things. It's one of those classic situations where, you know, your hair never looks better than when you're about to wash it and not go anywhere with it. For anyone interested in the actual kind of routine for this much hair of this kind of type, I wash it pretty much every 3 to 4 days, usually every 4 days. It's about that time that the roots start to get a little bit too oily to look or feel good. And on wash day, it's always a double shampoo with whatever kind of shampoo I'm using. One conditioner use that gets left in for kind of 4 or 5 minutes while I wash and deal with what needs to be dealt with. And afterwards that's rinsed out. And following the whole wash thing, in line with keeping within the budget as much as we can, I use this Inky List cream. It's their chia seed curl defining hair cream. This has lasted me probably about 4 or 5 months, and it only cost I think about €10 to buy from Sephora, but I think you can also get this in Boots in the UK and in other places like that. It's the kind of thing you can also use as a little top up, like if your hair is getting weighed down. This is less wavy than it will be kind of when it dries after just having a wash, but just one little pump of this stuff again helps with the whole kind of winter moisturizing thing, and also just adds some nice extra little bounce to your curls if you need it. That's basically all I use on my hair. I don't use heat. I don't own a hairdryer, curlers, rollers, straighteners, anything like that. And basically I've been like that since the pandemic, and I think it's one of the reasons that my hair has been doing okay in terms of health. Obviously there's a lot of planning to be done in terms of making sure you have the time in a day to air dry this much hair. But yeah, the no heat lifestyle definitely helps in terms of maintaining it. But other than that, it's all good genetics. So if you want any tips, ask my mum's side of the family. As all good dinners do, we are beginning by sweating down some onions. Little kind of cooking hack, if you have them, cooking your onions in the oil from like sun-dried tomatoes is such a cheats way of adding just an extra bit of flavour to your meal. And I'm thinking we're just going to add a few bits and pieces that we have in the cupboard to make a kind of tomatoey, peppery, chickpea soup, stew type thing. So I have some peperonata. This is like a kind of preserve made with peppers and onions and all those delicious things. It's great on sandwiches, it's great as a kind of dip, but even just like a tablespoonful of this added to a soup or a sauce is just banging. We have some tin tomatoes, some chickpeas, some stock, some seasonings, and we'll just see how this goes.
Ma per gli aspiranti chef misurarsi con le assegnazioni di Guido, che ha deciso chi dovesse farne una.
Exactly the same texture, creaminess, smoothness, lovely kind of custardiness as the lemon bars, and as you can see, basically the same color. Something I hadn't accounted for, probably foolishly, is that while grapefruit has sourness to it, I think the main actual overriding sensation you get from grapefruit is bitterness rather than acidity. So lemon does have bitterness, but I think it has more acidity than bitterness. In the same way that an orange has more kind of sweetness followed by acidity. Whereas while these carry, you can probably hear the amount of saliva in my mouth, these carry a real grapefruit flavour. It's got a really bitter undertone. You know it's grapefruit, but I don't actually know if I like it. But then maybe that is kind of the whole point of grapefruit. Often when you drink grapefruit juice or, you know, you do taste an actual grapefruit, it's like immediate sweetness followed by this whole kind of side of your tongue catching bitterness, right? So if you were a huge fan of grapefruit, as Francesco is fortunately, these would be fine. But maybe it's that they need more sugar, maybe it's that they need kind of extra creaminess, or maybe I just needed to use a bit less of the juice. Like, it is absolutely a grapefruit bar. It's absolutely a grapefruit version of a lemon bar. I need a second opinion on this though. I think this one may have to go back to the drawing board before sharing. Anyway, it is time to finally stop making things and eating things because I have this to deal with before I sit down to get comfortable and do literally anything else. And my hair is dry and the kitchen's clean. If only it was always that quick. Anyway, I am going to go and relax. I need to top up all the nail polish that I have chipped off over the stages of today. I'm gonna watch something. I'm gonna sit with the big light off finally because the overstimulation is real, and I will love you and leave you.
I wish I knew